since latest Aku anime episodes have been in the same ballpark, this is a perfect segue to this topic. I had it written down for months, I just couldn't find the inspiration. So, with the recent events going on in the world, especially things that have been going viral lately, you know what I'm talking about, people are pushing for stricter laws or enforcement of these laws. So, I did briefly mention this years ago in an older video, but I do plan on being a legal carrier, but I don't think it's going to happen though. I'm going to be honest. In New York State, I live in the city area, so getting a firearm license or a permit is like nearly impossible, or it takes forever to process. If you go upstate New York, or I think even maybe like deep Suffolk County in like Long Island, it's a bit easier. Also, I believe my mental health records will also prevent me from getting a license, considering I've had psychiatric hospital visits within the past 365 days. I think I pretty much am banned from ever getting one at this point. I'm going to be honest with you. I do carry around a blade, and that's what I mentioned like years ago, right? And again, in New York State, this is what's crazy about this. If you carry around a pocket knife or a blade or anything like that, the blade needs to be a certain length, a very tiny length. Otherwise, it's illegal. If it's longer than 4 inches, it's illegal. Pepper spray also has some legal boundaries about it, like the canisters or whatever, right? If you buy pepper spray, it can't be stronger than a certain percentage. Like, bruh, like even if you buy pepper spray, some weak pepper spray, like what is this, bruh? It's what's also weird about having a knife though is that even if you use it to defend yourself in New York State, you will get arrested. So if someone comes up to me and tries to rob me, and I pull out my knife and put some holes in them, I will get arrested. Rather, I won't be considered a victim by legal standards. New York City metropolitan area is very weird with this. It's very like, hey, you can't defend yourself except with your bare hands. And if you do, and you hurt someone by doing that, you're in trouble. I think specifically like the law in New York City is like, if you feel or you are being attacked, always retreat. That's it. You always got to run. You can't fight people. Always got to run. And if you do defend yourself, use of deadly force becomes a gray area, as you aren't always considered a victim by default. Like, and New York City is crazy, bro. So it's like, it's weird. This is what happens. Like, this is what happens when we do these strict laws and we enforce a lot of things. But so it's like, all right, here's the problem with this though. And this goes to my main point of today's video about laws. Hey, let me tell y'all. People will only follow the law if it affects them. Enforcing strict laws like this only affect people who care about following them. Now, remember I said I carry around a blade. I gotta keep it real. I'm self-snitching. It's definitely not 4 inches. It's much bigger than that. Okay, so, but we have strict laws here, and I could get in trouble for that. I could get a weapon charge for walking around a blade that's longer than 4 inches. A flip knife, bro. I hope to never use my blade. I care more about scaring someone off with it. Like, you try to rob, I'm pulling out a huge blade. Okay, that's gonna scare you off. All right. I don't want to stab you. Trust me, dude. I don't want to stab you. But I just want you to run away. You know what I'm saying? Same with the pepper spray. If I have to defend myself and use it, like, I want it to be strong. I don't want no weak little poop spray. What am I gonna do with that? You know what I'm saying? This is the same thing with guns though, at least for me. I'm interested in being a legal carrier because I'm more interested in defending myself and investing my time practicing every other weekend or so, because a lot of people with guns, little side tangent here, a lot of people who have guns, they can't shoot. People don't understand. It's not like riding a bike. For anyone who shoots guns watching this video or has shot guns consistently in the past, you know what I mean. When you learn to ride a bike, you never forget how to ride one. But shooting a gun is way different. If you don't practice every week or at least twice a month, like you need to practice like a lot, like every month, your aim is going to be really off. This is why when you see those videos of like police body cams and they're missing all their shots, like a police officer is missing all their shots. Anyone with basic experience shooting handguns can see very evidently from watching these videos that these officers are rusty or they haven't practiced in a while. You need to practice so you're good enough. Even in high adrenaline situations, if you build the muscle memory, stressful situations won't derail your shooting ability. And look, I'm excited to go to the range with my friends as well. That's another reason why I want to get my license. You know what I'm saying? But like, I don't want to have a gun to do anything else besides that. or and for self-defense in a God forbid type of situation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get a gun like I can't wait to use it, bro. Because some people are like that. And that's what I'm saying. Some people, they get a gun and it becomes a power trip to them. Not everyone has that intention when they get a gun or they're holding one. You know what I'm saying? And like with gun control, we don't know if someone would be considered safe to legally own a firearm or have the proper judgment when to use it. That's why I said I probably will never get one. Probably will never be able to get one unless I move out of New York, because I have a history of emotional instability and unpredictable behavior. In New York State, in terms of the firearm permits, I'll be listed at, I looked this up. With my case, I'll be listed as, quote, likely to engage in conduct that will result in serious harm. That's what they'll label me as. So I have every right to be denied. I'm not mad at that. But at the same time, we've also had people who don't have a history of doing anything malicious or having, quote, good character. They're misusing firearms. Rather, a good portion of firearms used in crimes were obtained illegally, which goes back to what I mentioned about how laws only affect people who follow them, you know. And just to almost correct myself in a sense, when I said a good portion of firearms used in crimes were obtained illegally, I would say the same for firearms that were obtained legally too. But it's illegally, I don't know what the statistic is. I saw that people who obtained it legally, there's a higher percentage they misuse it over someone illegal. There was something about that. I don't, if I could find it, I'll pull it up on the screen if I could find it right now. I'll video edit this. But listen, on the topic of gun control, even if we add more regulations and background checks and screenings, it would apply mostly to those who get their firearm legally, right? If we add more enforcements, criminals who purchase firearms through other methods or by stealing firearms, which people do often, will always still eventually find their way to get guns. That's the thing. In places where people get a lot of illegal guns, like just enforcing more gun laws, people, they'll just end up stealing that stuff, or they'll find there's going to be a black market, and that black market is going to be even more popular now because there's stricter laws. Like, honestly, I even self-admitted that I cannot be a carrier because of my background checks, and that's 1000% valid. Again, I'm not mad at that. I like the enforcement. I know myself where I do feel like I would be generally safe with the firearm, but then again, I'm unpredictable. So you know what? Might as well not bother a test of flames, you know? I'm personally not against the stronger enforcement, but at the end of the day, it won't fully stop criminals. The problem with laws or rules in general is that despite them being in place, people will always ignore them. This applies to everything. We have traffic and speed limit laws. How many of y'all drive? You know you won't be driving the damn speed limit. Come on now. People be ignoring that. You know what's crazy about like speed limit laws? They got the cameras, right? You know, like the speeding cameras. Waze and Google Maps will tell you there's a speed camera. So people who speed, they could avoid getting punished by just like, that's the thing. And it's like, bro, some places they still have weed prohibited, right? You still can't smoke. People still be smoking out here though, and the police will just drive by and be like, I don't care, you know what I'm saying? Like copyright and piracy. Some of y'all, I know what y'all be watching certain things you're not supposed to be watching. You know, you didn't pay for it, yada yada. You get the point. Even though laws and rules exist, regardless of how tight or enforced these laws are, it requires voluntary obedience from society and effective enforcement. And honestly, like many others, I will not always voluntarily be obedient to certain laws, not because they're not important to me. I get why they're there. It's because I don't feel like I'll take advantage of the reason why these laws are enforced. But see, my ego tells me that. And think about this with any other law though. Like, just a quick another tangent here. There's a park near me, right? And I don't think dogs are allowed at the park. I just don't think dogs are allowed at that park. So I bring my dog there anyway, right? And you know what? I know my dog enough. I trained my dog. My dog listens to me. You know what I'm saying? My dog won't go up to random people. My dog knows how to behave when other dogs are around, or my dog won't run across the street or do anything like that. I think my dog is relatively well trained enough, right? Now, my ego tells me that because that's what I know, but there's laws put in place that tell me that I can't have my dog there. But I know, see, you get what I'm talking about. Can you really trust the average person when you don't really know them? Do you think people trust me when they don't know me and they see my dog running around without a leash or anything like that? When, you know what I'm saying? This is why these things happen. And, you know, like, again, my ego tells me that. And when we talk about other laws, like the right to bear arms, someone's ego will be like, yeah, well, I should be allowed to have a gun. And there shouldn't be heavy enforcement because I don't feel like I will exploit or misuse my privilege. Yeah, people will say that, then exploit and misuse their privilege. People will say like, I don't know why the speed limit is like this. You know, I could drive really fast and I'll be okay. I'm a good driver until something bad happens. Now you see why this law is, you know what I'm saying? It's unpredictability and putting faith into people, which is why I said it would be nice to have someone, it would be nice to have myself rather to protect my own safety against people who will misuse the privilege of having a firearm. But that's the last thing I want to do at the same time. I'm not trying to get in the shootouts with people, bruh. Do you see why this is complicated? I'm very okay with these laws, but at the same time, I'm not okay with it. You know, if everyone had a firearm or had the ability to get one easily, like it's just like buying Skittles at the store, everyone could just get a gun. I feel like people will not only abuse this, they will misuse it 100%, but people will also use it properly for defensive purposes, but they'll also use it to police those who are misusing it. You know, like would person A who's malicious, would person A who has a gun go around shooting their gun recklessly at a certain place or location, knowing everyone else in that area also has a gun and won't let that happen that easily? Do you think they're willing to risk it all? Really? You know, like, see, there's that point, right? Like we're policing each other, but then this brings up another point of like, yo, okay, we can have that conversation. That's a good point to make. But at the same time, why even increase the risk of that happening by allowing everyone to have a firearm? We wouldn't be having that discussion, or that point wouldn't be valid if that was the case. You know, this is like the same thing with any looser law. If we decide to have looser laws in general, let's say higher speed limits, you may think that may be beneficial to people, but it increased risk. With gun laws, man, it just creates more issues as well because, again, this creates a more demanding black market, or, you know, people will start complaining about how they can't defend themselves because they have to wait forever, or they can't get approved for a gun because, you know, we got to go through all the process. Why are these gun laws so strict? I'm a law-abiding citizen. Until you crash out. How should I know what you're going to do in the future? You know, sometimes we have to understand that your personal freedom might be irrelevant to an extent if it is outweighed by the risk with you having that freedom. Yes, we have amendments for certain freedoms we should have as citizens, but if society continues to show that we can't trust people with these freedoms and privileges, we have every right to restrict it. But then people say that's not fair because this and that, right? And, you know, it gets into semantics. And it's like, I feel you, but this is a complex issue. I'm sorry that people who misuse their privilege causes everyone else to get restricted. Such is life. How else are we supposed to, we just let it happen? You know, this is the main thesis here. Laws only affect those who follow them. Enforce them harshly, people already following the law are going to get annoyed because other people ruined it for everyone. Guns are cool and all until someone misuses the privilege, and now we have to have the same conversation over and over and over and over and over again about gun control. Just to wrap this up, in my opinion, there should be several reasons to deny someone from obtaining a gun legally, which obviously will make people mad, right? Because my opinion is very strict here, but, you know, I feel like you should be denied legally of getting a firearm permit of any kind if you either have a felony, DV convictions, domestic, you know what, I feel like YouTube censors that. You have an addiction history. If you're under 21, I don't know, maybe I might bump that up. I kind of think that makes sense. You know, the brain developed a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? You can kind of see someone's history a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? And another reason why I feel like you should automatically be denied is if you have a repetitive negative mental health history. You know, I feel like these should be the foundational reasons to deny someone, but I don't know. What do y'all think? What would you restrict? Do you feel like we should be stricter? Would you loosen it? Would you add more reasons to my deny list? Let me know down below. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.